Shalom Aleichem Internet. My name is Rabbi Sandra Gajzinski, and this is the weekly TorahByte. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Vayera, and it opens up Vayera elav Hashem be'elonei mamrei v'hu yoshev pesach ha'oel kechom hayom. That God reveals Himself to Abraham in Elonei Mamre as he is sitting at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day. Now, there seems to be a lot of extra information in that verse. Does it really make a difference exactly where Avram is sitting? Does it make a difference what the weather is like? Do we have a verse later in the Torah that says, and God revealed Himself to Moshe as he was strolling through the garden and it was raining? And the important information seems to be left out of this verse. God revealed Himself to Avram and told him what? Instructed him to do what? The commentaries explain to us that this revelation of God to Avraham was not for the sake of any instruction or guidance, but rather just to visit Avraham. You see, Avraham at the end of last week's Torah portion performed the Brit Milah, the circumcision. It's a very intense procedure, and Avraham was recovering, he was healing from it. And God came to Avraham to be Mevaker Choli, to visit the sick. And so here Avraham is being visited by God. Now he is sitting at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day. And that is because Avram had a penchant to serve others. He had 4 entrances of his tent, one in each direction. And that was so that not a single wayfarer would be able to pass by his tent on their way through the desert without coming in, getting a bite to eat, something to drink, perhaps a place to stay for the night. And this was obviously very taxing. It took a lot of effort on Avram's part to be able to provide for all these people. And God, seeing him recover from the Brit Milah, Hotzi Shamsho min Artika, removed the sun from its protective layer or barrier, and so the sun was beating down particularly strong on the world. It was an impossibly hot day, and no wayfarer was passing through the desert. But Avram was so desperate to do good and to host that Avram planted himself at the entrance of his tent to find perhaps the one person who was braving the weather that he can invite him in and a host. So Hashem relented and sent him 3 guests. And Avram picks up his eyes, he sees 3 wayfarers, angels in disguise, and he turns and he says, Adonai al na ta'avor me'al avdecha. My masters, please do not pass by your servant. And the commentaries argue as to what exactly, or who exactly Avram was referring to. Was Avram talking to these wayfarers and he's saying, my masters, please don't move on, please come in, grab a bite to eat? Or was he referring to God? And he's saying, God, please don't leave, but I'm going to take care of these wayfarers for a moment. In other words, according to that commentary, Avram is being paid the most royal of royal visits. He is being visited by God Himself. And not only God Himself, but more on an esoteric level, He's being visited or He's being revealed to in the name Yud-K Vav-K, which is the name of God that is so essential that we cannot even read it or pronounce it as it is meant to. And the commentaries tell us that not a single human being up until that point had ever been revealed to. God has never revealed Himself in that fashion, in His most essential state. Only Avram, after performing the Brit Milah, was on the level to receive this. So this was the first time that anybody was having God reveal Himself in His most essential state. And Avram turns around to God and he says, God, I'm going to have to put you on hold. I have wayfarers to take care of. Now, where does Avram get to do that? How does he get to do that? Why is that respectful for God? How does he have the strength to do that? And it comes down to the fact that Avraham was intrinsically, acutely aware of his purpose and mission in this world. And as much as a very spiritually minded individual, Avraham was taking in this moment, this divine, momentous moment where God was revealing Himself to Avram. There was nothing greater that could have occurred to Avram in his own personal life than having this moment with God. The God that he had sacrificed so much for, the God that he was devoted to from the age of 3. And here God was revealing Himself to Avram in the most essential state. And yet Avram turns around to God and with a strength of character and purpose and understanding, turns around and says, God, as much as this moment is so meaningful and powerful for me, I'm going to have to move it aside because I have my mission walking by me right now. 3 individuals that my purpose in this world is to provide for them both physically, food and drink, whatever they need, and spiritually, to engage with them and talk to them about the God, creator of heaven and earth, who is providing them this food, who they will praise after eating it. And then we will engage in a conversation about the one creator, etc., etc. That is my mission, my purpose, and here it is standing in front of me. And so as much as I would love to indulge in my own personal spirituality at this moment, and have this moment with you, God, I have a mission that you have given me. So the lesson here to each and every one of us is that we often in life, almost on a daily basis, are faced with conflicting priorities. Our time has to be divided among many important things, and sometimes it is difficult for us to decide which comes first, what comes first. Avram teaches us a very important lesson, that before we indulge in ourselves, even spiritual indulgence, spiritual growth, we have to find out, we have to ask ourselves, does the mission need to come first? Is the mission more important at this moment? And if the answer is yes, then we need to have the strength that Abraham had to turn down perhaps the greatest moment of spirituality, personal spirituality, for the sake of achieving the mission. So I wish you all much success in facing this challenge, having the strength to be able to do what we know is right.